She's the founder, speaker, and executive committee of Free Them, an initiative dedicated to raising awareness and funds to abolish human trafficking in Canada and abroad by partnering with people, organizations, and businesses to fight human trafficking and slavery today. She's fighting against human trafficking harder than just about anybody in Canada. Shae Invidiata joins Canada Now. Hey, Shae, great to have you back on the show.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, Free Them is doing a Christmas campaign to help 3 survivors that are new mothers. They are pregnant by their traffickers or Johns, and they've got nothing.
That's correct. It's a serious need at this time of year.
Yeah. Now, do you see this kind of thing often?
It's very common that, girls that are being exploited and trafficked would, if they do fall pregnant, most oftentimes it is by their pimp or trafficker or from somebody who has purchased them. Like a John, that's just somebody who has purchased them. And this is the scenario that's currently right now. We have 2 girls that are in a safe house and one more that is going to be actually coming into the safe house. And they're all, one is still pregnant. The 2 have just given birth. One's 3 months old and the other's a brand new newborn baby. And you can imagine at this time of year, especially where, people are celebrating and getting together with families and, you're very heightened about if you're struggling, really what you don't have. And that sense of even feeling so alone. So we just wanted to reach out to the community and say, hey, let's surround these girls and show them that there are people out there that are thinking about them and care.
Are these 3 women in Canada?
They are, yeah, all Canadian. Yeah,
it's unbelievable that sort of thing is happening in our country. And I can imagine. No, I can't. I cannot imagine just how terrified these women must be right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The good thing is that the safe house that they're in, it's a safe environment. It's secure, so that they know that where they're laying their head at rest at night, that they're being taken care of, and they have people that are looking out for them.
Yeah.
But, they're not going home to a full, loving family that's surrounding them through this hard time of just having a brand new baby. And mothers out there, and we all know people that have had babies, and, you need to be rallied around and have that support of people and help and family. And this is something that these girls and these women do not have right now.
Yeah, I mean, their lives have changed forever, and they're just trying to keep their head above water. Any new parent will tell you they're just trying to keep their head above water at the beginning in this new normal they have. I mean, it's unimaginable what these women are going through, given the same circumstances, but certainly amplified and different in their own way. Tell us more about the Christmas campaign and what you guys are doing there.
So the easiest way really for people is that if they want to contribute and support, I'm actually going to the safe house tomorrow on Thursday to bring over a lot of different baby clothes. They're girls, so up to about 3 months and newborn. That's the clothes that we're looking for. And then things that are really expensive, like diapers and formula and baby wipes. The size of the babies right now are size 1 and size 4 for the diaper size, or gift cards, things to Walmart, even places like HomeSense, so that the moms can, buy themselves something nice at Christmas to put in the safe house that would make them feel like they're at their own home, or to places like Toys R Us for kids, H&M kids. So gift cards are a really easy way. And if you go to our Instagram, which is free_them_, we have the details for the drop-off locations. For anybody listening that says, I would just love to contribute monetarily, they can easily give by sending an e-transfer to give@freethem.ca. And we're just wanting to see, what we can bless them with this Christmas holiday season. And right now, I've actually been overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that's been dropped off already at my house, and some's coming down to my concierge at my condo. And the community's just really rallying you, saying, hey, let me have you on the show so we can spread more awareness and have more people help. It's just really been touching to see how the community so far has been supporting.
Well, absolutely. And again, give@freethem.ca if you want to send a money transfer. We've talked about this a few times, Shae, but for those that haven't heard us have a discussion before, I've asked you in the past, and I'll ask you again, how prevalent is human trafficking in Canada?
For an average Canadian, they would probably be very surprised to know that it's happening all around us, whether we realize it or not. It's happening in our high schools. It's happening in our universities. It's taking place in condo buildings all around, not just in Toronto, but out in places like Mississauga, in the motels that are along the QEW that reach out all the way to Niagara region, including Oakville, Burlington. It is happening all over, and most Canadians are really not aware. And you and I have spoke about this before as well, that majority of the victims that we help to rescue and that we see in Canada, over 87% of them are Canadians. So this is a problem that we're seeing happening birth at home. Of course, we do have international victims that get trafficked across our borders coming from places like Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe. But the vast majority of the problem of the victims here are our Canadians, are our kids at home.
Well, and you mentioned places that many of us will be. I don't know what I'm looking for, Shae. Like I'll walk around these places, I'll drive around these places, and maybe I'm in my own head, I'm in my own life too much, where I'm not recognizing what is happening outside of my own car. Let's say if I'm driving around, what am I looking for? Like if I'm looking for someone that is in distress, that is the victim of human trafficking, am I able to see this? As I'm driving by on the street somewhere, what am I looking for?
Yeah, it's a great question. First and foremost, I always tell people to listen to your gut. Oftentimes, it's not wrong. So even if you don't realize what you're looking at, if you drive by or you walk by and you see something goes off in you that goes, that looks like a really bad situation, or something seems off, most of the times our gut is right, and that's kind of like your first instinct. But some of the more distinctive signs is looking at body language between the girl, and it's oftentimes the pimp or the trafficker is going to be a male, and usually not too much older than her. Could be between the ages to 18 to about 25 is kind of the norm that we see of these males that are controlling and trafficking the girls. But looking at body language and, is it stiff? Is she able to speak? Is she half dressed? If you're at a motel, what is a younger female doing with maybe meeting a considerably older person? And time of day too. Most people aren't going for a meetup at a Motel 6 at, 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 a.m. even for that matter. And seeing who's watching, looking at your surroundings. Is somebody paying attention to this female? Those are some of the immediate signs when you're just kind of out and about. More of those particulars maybe for parents that have kids that they're in school and they have their friends that are starting to date this guy who might not be a typical good guy for a girl. You're looking for things like abnormal gifting, where all of a sudden a girl starts getting all kinds of expensive gifts, from handbags to shoes, constantly getting her nails done. She might end up getting a tattoo of her quote-unquote boyfriend's name on a visible spot on her neck or on her wrist or on her ankle. And this is what we call branding. It's a pimp marking his territory of his property, which is the female's body. And so those are some of the red flags, and I always do say, just in case you do see one flag, does not necessarily mean it's a situation of human trafficking. But when you combine and you start paying attention more and more, you could actually be looking at a situation of slavery and exploitation and not really realizing it until we consciously start to make that shift and paying attention.
Okay, so we're paying attention. We notice something that you've described. What do we then do? Do we call 911?
I always tell people it's not enough just to call 911. Unfortunately, still, law enforcement all across Canada is still needing to be trained more on what human trafficking is, believe it or not. And so you want to get in touch with the either human trafficking unit in your jurisdiction within the police realm, or your sex crimes unit. Like in Toronto, we have a sex crimes unit. Out in Peel region, they're going to have a human trafficking unit. So depending on which area listeners are in, you want to go specifically to that unit and report your case. Now, for people who are saying, I really want to report it, but I really don't want to get involved, I'd rather be anonymous, absolutely understandable. Call Crime Stoppers. And when I was younger, I used to think it was a bit of a joke, like calling Ghostbusters, like, does this thing even work? And believe it or not, Crime Stoppers is one of the first go-to spots that police work with them to use the anonymous tips that people are giving in. And I can't tell you how many victims have been located and found, and some of them even rescued from police officers picking up anonymous tips through Crime Stoppers. So that's a fantastic route. The last scenario would be you can always contact us and go to info@freedom.ca, send us an email. We can get in touch with you, take in the information, and pass it on your behalf.
Info@freedom.ca?
Correct.
Okay, good. How has Freedom helped to change laws and amend criminal codes in Canada?
We, over the past almost 8 years now, we've been working with all levels of law enforcement, specifically our federal government, starting there, to help amend the criminal code in Canada 3 times. We've helped to strengthen policy in that we have now a mandatory minimum sentence for traffickers caught trafficking minors in Canada. Another bill that we helped to introduce and implement was if for travelers leaving Canada and going to places like the Philippines, Thailand, that if you partake in situations of human trafficking or exploitation, now when you come back and land in Canadian borders, we have actually the right to arrest you and prosecute you accordingly, which we didn't have that before. And so you'll actually see more and more. It's really great. Our international airport at Pearson and Canada Border Services has really done a good job to really make travelers aware that human trafficking will not be tolerated coming into our borders, and it's Canadians for that matter. So that was another bill. In conjunction with that bill, we actually expanded what the definition of exploitation is, because it's a longer story, but we were having issues, the judges were having issues prosecuting these traffickers because the first point of introduction where a pimp is preying and luring a victim, there's no duress, there's no fear at that point. You know, it's oftentimes coming on as a boyfriend, so you're wooing, you're flirting, you're complimenting. There's no fear at that point. And so we had to expand the definition of what exploitation actually entailed. And then lastly, in Canada, Bill C-36, which came into effect in 2014, is a bill that says you can no longer, you can't purchase sex in Canada. The girls can sell sex because we recognize the problem, the default is that before they were being criminally charged because selling sex was illegal. And we said, if these girls are being forced to do this, and then racking up criminal charges because of their pimps trafficking them, why are we prosecuting them and laying charges? So we switched the laws to say, let's decriminalize the women, not the industry, but decriminalize the women, and then put the charges on where we need it, which is on the purchasers, on what we call the Johns, who are buying sex. Yeah. So for the first time in Canada, now a police officer can walk into, whether it's a motel, a micro brothel that's happening in one of the condos, a fake massage parlor, and walk in and actually, instead of arresting a girl and laying charges in order to detain and remove her from a situation, can say, would you like to come with me for health and safety? And if she says yes, he can legally move her without actually destroying her and giving her a criminal record.
Wow. I mean, I can imagine, like, Freedom, how long have you guys been at work doing all of this?
So Freedom we founded in 2010. So, you know, we're coming up into our 9th anniversary will be in January. And then my journey started in this in 2003. So it's been quite some time now. Well,
it's you've certainly gotten a lot done personally in 15, 16 years, and in Freedom going on 9 years. Check out freedom.ca. Again, info@freedom.ca if you need to send them an email. If you want to send an e-transfer of some funds to help out with the Christmas campaign, give@freedom.ca. Founder of Freedom, Shae Invidiata. Shae, I can't thank you enough for joining us as always.
And likewise, thank you so much, Jeff. Have a Merry
Shae.
Christmas.
You too, and good luck with the Christmas campaign. It's Canada Now. I'm Jeff Sammut, Sirius XM Canada Talks.